Hi, folks. It's Larry Talks again. Today we're taking a little change and trying to emphasize the importance of dialogue and actually responding to you. So today's program, 10 or 15 minutes on responding to emails you sent me. And next time we would like to do, I'd like you to send me stuff on this question. What do you find the strangest experience you've had on gay dating services? Send that to Larry, Larry, .Moorman, Moorman, at AOL.com. That's my email, Larry.Moorman at AOL.com. And the topic of our next program, in other words, if you send me something like that, what's the weirdest experience you've had on a gay dating site, or the strangest? I'll read these back to you, just like I'm going to do today. I'm going to read responses to the program on love. I've gotten some very interesting ones. And we'll go a little longer today because it's going to take that time to read these things. I'm going to deal with some short ones first. I think this one is the best one in that terms of the opener, an Ann Landers. Yeah. Larry, look forward to seeing your Larry Talks videos. One question on gay love and fidelity. I have an older lover, Jerry, which I love, but in the past year, been thinking about my ex and discovering I also love him, and this is not about sex, but to know he's well and happy. Is this notion wrong? Can you truly love more than one person at a time? And the answer, of course, in the light of what I've said, is yeah, of course. That's what love is. The people I'm closest to in my life is my ex-wife, who I was married to for 7 years, but I don't have sex with her, but I see her and talk to her on the phone every few days and visit her once a month. And then Fernando, my adopted son, who I think of, and we don't have a sexual relationship either, but we truly love each other. So the answer is yeah, of course. You know, here's an interesting thing I thought about. You grew up in a family. In that family, there's a mother, father, and siblings. Didn't you love all of those? I mean, this idea that you can only love one person, that's ridiculous. But that's because of the whole idea that we think love and marriage go together like a baby carriage. And there's nothing wrong with that, but that's not the whole picture. The whole picture is the truth in life is that we love many people and different things we get from different people. And as long as you're honest and open and truthful, and of course, we're not talking about a family, but I mean, even when you think of the family, you're loving more than you're loving mom, dad, and your siblings. So, of course, we all begin with the experience of loving many people. So that's the answer to that. I think sex confuses things. A woman said to me once, I keep confusing my clit with my heart. Well, that is a problem. Men, they confuse their dick with their heart. What amazes me constantly is that people, okay, my producer's telling me I should give the name of the person. The name of that person was Ryan, and I think he's in the United States of America. This one, Philip, is also, I don't know where he's from. I think it's the USA. I'm an older man who is not out in all areas of my life. I appreciate the videos that you have made. Do you have resource suggestions for an older Christian to resolve and understand clearer the issues around being gay and Christian? I like your definition of grace. Yes, I have. I'll mention 3 or 4 books here. that are great on biblical analysis, but you don't need that. There's one line in the opening of the Gospel of John that says it all. The law was given through Moses, and that's what all these people are throwing at you. The law. But St. Paul said, and Christianity believes, the law is not binding. The Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, all that stuff does not bind. And when St. Paul mentions it, well, St. Paul contradicts himself several times. So you've got to look at the whole tradition and say, well, what is the essence of Christianity? What's it trying to teach? It's trying to teach one very simple thing. Before God, there is neither male nor female, slave or free. All are equal before God. Number one. Number two, another line from the opening of the Gospel of John. The law was given through Moses, grace and truth through Jesus Christ. What is grace? Grace is the love of God for us and our love for God and everybody else. That famous line, again, this is all you need. You don't need all this, but I'll mention these books. This is a neat book, What the Bible Really Says About Homosexuality by Daniel H.E.L. M-I-N-I-A-K, PhD. He's a Franciscan, and this is short and sweet, and it covers everything. And I would recommend this. Who's the publisher of this? Alamo Square Press, San Francisco. So you might look that up online. What the Bible Really Says About Homosexuality. A Protestant version, there's two books here from Protestant publishers, the Fortress Press, The New Testament and Homosexuality by Robin Scroggs, S-C-R-O-G-G-S, The New Testament and Homosexuality. I don't know if that's showing. It looks to me like you're seeing backwards there, so that's not very helpful. But this is published by Fortress Press in the United States. And all of these things, 1983, that's been around a while. Homosexuality and Christian Faith by Walter Wink. Again, Fortress Press. So this is a Protestant publisher. Homosexuality and Christian Faith. All of these analyze texts. Catholic, the great Catholic, John McNeill, died in the last year. The Church and the Homosexual, third edition, updated, expanded. Who's the publisher of this? Beacon Press, Boston. John McNeill was a Jesuit, dropped out of the priesthood, and was a scholar. Jonathan loved David. That's an interesting one, isn't it? Because you have an Old Testament story about King David and a man who loved him, and this is a whole book about that. And this has got it. This is Westminster Press, again, American Protestant. So that's my answer. There's plenty of stuff. Just go on the line and look up Christianity and homosexuality, and you'll find all kinds of good resources. I suppose there's the stuff, there's some bad stuff too. These are the ones I mentioned are good. I had another short, yeah, here's one. Books at Amazon.com, my director says. Yeah, that's a good idea. If you go to Amazon.com and ask this books on homosexuality, you can tell from the title whether they're pro-gay or not, in the sense of, you know, that they're neutral rather than damning. But Amazon.com is good. Dear Larry, let's see, Ryan from God knows where. I think he said you're from the United Kingdom. My name is Ryan. I have become interested in your YouTube videos. They're very interesting and insightful. I can relate in some ways to your video on coming out to your family. Admittedly, I've never done it myself, as I know very well that my family is very conservative in their views. I'm 25 now, and I do feel comfortable being open to my friends. Even more so, I'm attracted to mature older men where I am in the UK, and there's a stigma towards younger men who are attracted to older men. I hope you do more videos in the future. You know, I have to tell you a story. One of my closest friends, who were lovers for some time, had that very same problem you had. He said it's one thing to be gay, and it's another. Like he's in his 40s, and his mother and father are still living, Filipino, and he's a twin, identical twin, and both twins are gay, and they've never come out to their father. Now everybody knows; they have to know by 40, right? Because the family's a close family. But he said the thing that I can't deal with, I can't tell them. And you know, your emotions are right about this. If you feel you can't tell them, then don't, because there is something, you know, holding you back, and you have a right to your privacy, and you have to trust your feelings about this stuff. So he has never come out to his mother and father, although he's a very well-adjusted person. And he said to me the same thing you said. It's one thing to come out gay. It's another thing to be attracted to older men. And how does your family deal with that? That is really like a whole other phobia you have to deal with. And that is difficult. So my advice on that is you've got to deal with how it feels to you. I would never have come out to my father. He died before I came out. But I mean, so it wasn't a problem. He was 74 and I was 35, and I came out at 36 after my wife decided to divorce me because she didn't want to be married. But so much for that. Wow, this is a kind of long one. Let's see if I can find the essence of it here. May I have the let's see, where is this from? May I have the opportunity to say thank you so much for your time, thought, and your kindness for such a lovely response to my first ever attempt to express a personal feeling about gay love in the ether of the air of interest. Thankfully, I went to you. I am the proper recipient in your endeavor defining the gay movement. I would say a big thank you to those heroes and our gay brothers and sisters. Yeah. Just last night I saw a program on the 80s about AIDS in the 80s. I didn't realize that from 1982 to 1990 that there was no cure. And so people just died like crazy. Of course, I knew young men that died. What a horrible time that was. What a horrible time. 1992, they discovered a pill that would allow you to live, and everybody who took it after that time lived. But I had a close friend that died in 98. He just was so sick he didn't want to go on. But even though they had a cure at that point, I'm living the dream. Some say it's a lifestyle choice. Then why are the fuckets trying to engineer me out of the DNA chain? I would have had 5 brothers and 2 sisters instead of 2 gay brothers and a gay sister. 50-50, how about that for equality? I call it a natural order. In the meantime, I have a lovely 81-year-old partner whom I would lay down my life for. See, and I've heard that so many times. Gay men say that to me, and that they don't care, they truly love their partner, and they don't make a fuss about it. I have to say, I was kind of surprised. I have that kind of relationship with Fernando in Florida. He calls me almost every day. And when I go back there and see his friends, they say, "Oh, you're having sex, aren't you?" And I said, "No." And they say, "You're lying." I mean, gay people can't even tolerate this. Isn't that terrible? The gay people cannot respect. If I say, "Well, no, we had sex way back there, but we don't anymore," and that's not what our relationship's about. It's about love. Anyway, um, I call it a natural order. In the meantime, I have a lovely 81-year-old partner whom I would lay down my life for, and hope, having had the pleasure of 3 lifetime partners in life, the separation and death won't be as hard to bear as the other 2. Is it worth the investment? Well, I wouldn't have it any other way. Well, it's your destiny. Like, you don't have a choice if you're attracted. Now, I guess I've had some reflection about that. This whole idea, because I have a degree in philosophy, and the philosophers said, the first great philosophers, 2 views about philosophy. All knowledge, Aristotle said, there is no knowledge that is not first in the senses. Well, that's not true about sexual desire. Sexual desire is entirely comes from out of here. It's taken my entire life to discover my fetishes. What are yours? And fetishes are things that have to do with pure sex and not necessarily some examples of fetishes, socks and feet and stuff like that. They're irrelevant in a sense, but everybody has their own fetishes, and we don't condemn people for that. What is my point here? That what kind of struck me recently is the idea that your sexual desires are inborn. So people with pedophilias, I feel sorry for them because they didn't choose that. It was a desire that's inside of them, and they discovered it. It's like I've discovered my fetishes. I like hairy men. What's that about? I actually have a theory that maybe some of that, a stimulus of that, happens early on in life. But nonetheless, the program, and see, Plato said, real knowledge is inborn. All real knowledge is inborn. That's Plato. That was Plato and Socrates. And Aristotle said, no, there is no knowledge in the intellect that is not first in the senses. And that would be the idea that we choose and that everything is learned. The scientific approach. But when I think about sex, and you think about it yourself, you ask yourself the question, why do I choose, why am I attracted to some people and not to others? That's not something I chose. Believe me, it's not. I've discovered, especially on media, what I like and what I don't like. And if I didn't wander around media a lot, I would never have discovered what my true fetishes are. And those things are inborn. I didn't learn them. Maybe early childhood exposed me to some things I can't remember. But I'm convinced that when it comes to sexual, and I don't know why, except, well, it's just like hunger or thirst or the need for sleep. They're in your body. And I think sexual fetishes are too. And we shouldn't judge each other about them. They're just there. I mean, for example, I don't understand these guys. Hi, folks. We had a little disruption there. And I just wanted to remind you where we were at when we got cut off. Let's see, his name was Ryan from UK, was saying that it's not only difficulty to come out, but if you like older men, then you're really in trouble, because that's a whole other homophobia, different kind of phobia that people have. And I gave the example of my close friend who has dealt with the same thing. And it is, I mean, you really have to realize that is a tremendous extra burden that you have to deal with, not only homophobia, but ageism. It's tremendously, I mean, we have failed to deal with that at all. And so, great sympathy. I want to end with a story from Virginia. Alan from Virginia sent me a story about love and friendship. And it's 2 pages, and I'm going to summarize it for you. He tells a story of someone else. It's not his own story, of a guy in high school who he saw this kid coming down with glasses. I'm going to read part of it here in a moment. And these kids beat up on him because he was carrying a bunch of books and he was wearing glasses. So this guy goes out and he helps him clean up his stuff, and he realizes he lives near him, and they become friends. A couple years pass, and this guy becomes more handsome. All the girls are after him, and he's asked to give the Victorian speech at the graduation, and he does. And I'm going to read you what he says about this friendship. As he started the speech, he cleared his throat and began, "Graduation is a time to thank those who helped you make it through the tough years. Your parents, your teachers, your siblings, maybe a coach, but mostly your friends. I'm here to tell you that being a friend to someone is the best gift you can give them. I'm going to tell you a story. I just looked at my friend with disbelief as he told the story the first day he met. He planned to kill himself. When he was carrying all those books, it was because he didn't want his mother to have to clean up after him. And he was carrying those books home, and these kids beat him up, and this guy befriended him and saved his life." So here's an example of where friendship saved a life. The same thing happened to me. He talked about how he cleaned out his locker so his mom wouldn't have to do it. He looked at me and a little smile. Thankfully, I was saved. My friend saved me from doing the unspeakable. When I retired, I gave a short speech I said, as a teacher, when we give A's, we say the students did it. When the students fail, we say we did something wrong. And I wonder if we ever accomplish anything as teachers. I said this in a speech to 65 people at my retirement dinner. And then someone wrote in a book, because I was advisor to the Gay Student Union, he wrote in a book, "Here's one life that you saved." Wow. Talk about worth. Talk about meaning. It's a wonderful thing. I also got a standing ovation that day at the breakfast in the morning. I tried to figure out why. And it's because I published a book during a sabbatical that cost the students $20 instead of $50 or $100, and took no profit for myself. And when I retired at the graduation breakfast, everybody stood up. I was the only one they've ever done that for, because I cared about the students. Anyway, so that's a story about friendship. And I think that wonderful story from Alan in Virginia tells you, you just don't know. A week or two ago, I went to a retirement dinner. It was actually a 30th wedding anniversary dinner. 2 students came up to me, and one said, "I took a class from you in 1971. And I want you to know that it made a difference to me." He's a man now in his 50s. And then another guy came up to me and said, "My wife and I took a class from you, and I wanted you to know how much it meant to me." And I said, "Well, you don't think you have an influence, but like this guy didn't know he was saving a life, and what friendship means and how powerful it is." I don't know what's wrong with America, that we don't understand how powerful friendship is. And I think this story tells that. And the story of I didn't have any idea that I had that kind of influence on a student. Here's one life that you saved. What do you think that was worth to me? And So it's not about sex. It's about really life is about friendship. So we would like to get more dialogue like this, more responses, which I would respond to. Tell me where you're from. Some of these I don't know where they're from on international internet. So it's Larry dot Mormon, Larry dot Mormon, Moorman, at AOL.com. These letters were all sent to me at that address on the last program, which was about love. And I know that many of you have seen several of my programs. You can respond to anything. I remember very well what I said because I rehearse these for hours before I give the spontaneous, it's unrehearsed, but it is prepared. I've thought about these programs a lot when I give them, and I only talk about things I really know about. So we would like response from you. We're thinking about every 2 weeks, and we would like to have participation. I want to say I think we have about 25,000 hits on these programs. And these letters tell me some kind of influence that I have had. And I am grateful to you. I mean, look, over 33 years, I taught 25,000 students. In 1 year, I have contacted that many people have watched these programs, Larry Talks, at YouTube. And by the way, there's an hour program on my biography, and that's at vimeo.com / Larry Mormon or John Gorman. No? My director's shaking his head. What? We got to fix this. Because I just found it at Vimeo / John Gorman. Well, of course you got to go to search, yeah. Anyway, that's it for now. Love, love, love. Love is all you need. That's what the Beatles said. Search on Vimeo. Will you go Vimeo? I found the program. He says no. You have to go to search on Vimeo. Well, you go to your Google, you go to your browser. Vimeo, not / okay. Vimeo.com. John Gorman. Okay. So we feel we've been successful in that we've got 25,000 hits on this program, on this series. What? I can't read that in description. Anyway, let's close it up, and we'll see you next time within a couple of weeks. And I want to say I appreciate everybody who's taken the time to watch these programs. These letters that you've sent me are really nice. I really appreciate them. Link to interview. Link in description. I don't know what that means, but that's what he wants me to say. Okay, we'll see you next time. Send in your larry.mormon@aol.com comments, and I want you all to know we appreciate your listening. I hear you listening, and believe me, I've taken a lot of time to prepare these things, a lot of thought between programs when I'm going to say something. And so I appreciate the fact that 25,000 people at least have watched these programs. See you next time.